Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the new ring coming in patch 11.0.7 for Rep Paladins. And this is going to be purely kind of like speculating, theory crafting, feely crafting, that kind of thing. Obviously, when this patch comes out, we'll have simulations and we'll do a guide update video to say, hey, these are the best gems for DPS, use whatever you want, but these three do the most damage, this combination does the most damage, or whatever. But for this, since it's new and not, it hasn't been all mathed out yet, I thought it'd be fun to kind of go through and just talk about them. Maybe this is even the first time you've seen the gems. They were data mined here on Wowhead, and it's maybe your first time even seeing them. So you can also give your thoughts. This is just feely craft essentially, but you could be right, I could be wrong. I could be right, whatever. But yeah, we don't know yet. So as you see in this image right here, there'll be a ring coming out in this patch, and it'll actually be visible on your character. I thought that's kind of neat. It has nothing to do with your power, but it's just something I thought was kind of cool, something that they added to the game. And then you're going to have three different types of gems. You're going to have thunder, sea, and wind. And it appears like you have to equip like one of each type of these. So we'll go through each of the gems. They're all citrine, apparently. So let's go through the thunder gems first. So we have the storm, sower's citrine. Your spells and abilities have a chance to shield an ally with lightning, absorbing damage taken for 10 seconds. While the shield persists, attackers have take 10% of the amount absorbed as nature damage. Okay, that's interesting. I wonder, there must be a reason why that's nature damage. There must be something that's really good for or something. So it seems like a healer one. We wouldn't be using this one for damage. Your spells and abilities have so it's the Roaring Queen citrine. Your spells and abilities have a low chance of triggering the Singing Thunder citrine effects of 4 nearby allies whenever an ally played. Also this effect. So maybe you would want. So far, I don't know if all of these are going to be utilities / healers, but this could be one that like the healers decide like which ones they want to use together. I could see some synergy there from those first two. Stormbringer's Ruined. It grants of every secondary stat. So this one will flat out will give you some damage. And then we have the Thunderlord's Crackling. So your spells and abilities have a chance to zap an enemy, dealing nature damage. Okay. So we have a secondary stat and we have a nature damage. So this is interesting. So for the Thunder Gems, for damage, obviously, we're going to be between these two. Obviously, this will depend on tuning. If the zap is super, super powerful, chance to zap an enemy. If it's only your primary target, it could be like they could make it very strong for single target. If it's any target you hit and it hits every target, it'll probably be tuned a little bit lower, in which case you probably wouldn't use it like in raid. And then the Stormbringer's Rune Circle, every secondary stat. This is including your mastery. Now I do know a couple of these gems. This is actually the first time I read these four. But I do know a couple of the gems later on, and increasing your mastery even more could be pretty insane as far as Rep Paladins go. So my first initial thought is that the Stormbringers will probably be the best here. But obviously, if the Cracking Citrine is tuned really high, we also don't have like a lot of verse to increase that cantrip type damage. So I don't see that being the best one unless it's just tuned like out of control, the Thunderlord's Crackling. So on the first one here, I think I'd go with Stormbringer's Ruined is my first thought. Feel free to disagree, but probably not the two that don't do anything for us damage wise. Mariner's Hallowed Citrine. So now we're into the sea ones. There's 4 sea, 4 winds. Your spells abilities have a chance to bathe an ally in restorative water, restoring health to each of them. So another healing one. Grants stamina and increases your size while being above 80%. Causes attackers to take frost damage. So this is like a tanking one. Fathom Dweller's Ruined. Grants mastery. In addition, all other Singing Citrine effects are increased based on your total mastery. So I believe that means all of your other effects are increased by your mastery. So as a spec that we have a lot of mastery, this is one that jumped out to me immediately. This Fathom Dweller's Ruined citrine. So this is going to increase our mastery and increase effects based on our mastery. So let's say we have the secondary one. If that increases our stats again because we have a lot of mastery, that can be double. That can be really good, obviously. Your spell, the Underseas Overseer's citrine. Your spells and abilities have a chance to drench an enemy in freezing seawater that bounces to your nearby enemies, dealing frost damage to them. So again, we have another cantrip type. So it looks like if these are going to keep following the same thing, it's like healer slash tank ones, you know, and then there's like stat one and then damage one. Same thing here, stat one, then damage one. Now for us, for Rep Paladin specifically, this is a very mastery heavy one, right? And it's increasing the other effects based on our mastery. You're likely, if you're doing like endgame content, you're likely in the 40% of mastery, somewhere in the 40% of mastery. Or, you know, if you're doing lower content, maybe you're like in the high 30s or something, right? But having this effect increased by total mastery, I can see worlds where any spec, not just Rep Paladin, any spec that's using mastery could be potentially be pretty powerful for us. The wind gems, let's go through these 4 and see which wind gem we might use. Your spells and abilities have a chance to whisper a sea shanty to 5 allies, healing them, another healing one. So I suspect this one will be a healing one or a tanking one. Your spells and abilities have a chance to cast a random singing citrine effect. Okay, so a random effect, which obviously could be good if it was a damaged one, but if it's not, then it's not as good. And the singing, I assume that all of them are singing citrines. When it says a random singing one, that's the second time I've seen that. I assume, yeah, singing thunder, singing sea, and singing wind. So it's just any gem. So another random one, and then grants of your highest secondary stat. So again, this would be mastery for us. So I'm kind of seeing, I mean, I think anybody can kind of see the way this might work together here. Your spells, and then the last one, so that was Wind Singers, and then we have Squall Sailors. Your spells and abilities have a chance to slice 5 enemies with a crushing sea breeze, dealing nature damage to each of them. So, obviously don't know the tuning. If the tuning for the cantrips is really good, then that'll just be the best thing, right? It's obvious. But, can kind of tell. For Rep Paladin, it's probably going to be Wind Singers with Fathom Dwellers and with Stormbringers, and we're just going to have a ridiculously high amount of mastery and a decent amount of other secondary stats if the mastery increases it, because our mastery is going to be so high. I mean, our mastery is going to be so high. I mean that, like, but is it going to be too high? That could be an issue, right? Diminishing returns. We're not nearly at like a haste cap yet. People probably aren't even at crit cap yet. So are we putting too much into mastery in this case? But we are gaining even more of other stats with this other one. So that'll be the interesting thing to test out for this and kind of speculate on. There is our mastery specs that stack mastery just going to be like doing very well with this, and specs who mastery is good for, right? You wouldn't want to stack mastery if your mastery is bad. Like if your mastery is terrible for your spec or class, you wouldn't want to just stack mastery just to have these effects be better, right? But if your mastery is already really good for you anyways, then this becomes insanely the possibilities are kind of insanely good. Obviously tuning could make it to where that's not the case, and even though we stack mastery, it's still not good, and it's better just to use the cantrips. But definitely, I love the synergy there, and I'm not personally hoping that these gems are too powerful, because I do not want to be using these rings into the next patch, like into mythic progression of the next patch, right? Like it's fine to use it for like the first week or two, of course, but I don't want to be using it of a long time into the next patch by any means. And so yeah, I want it to be kind of powerful though. I'd love, like, I don't even have good rings yet. I have one decent ring and one like champion level ring still, because I haven't just had an opportunity to even get good rings. Yeah, so for me, I can almost guarantee you that these rings are going to be really, really good for me personally, with a pretty low eye level ring on still. But for everyone, I'd hope it kind of is just like hope it equals like a Queen Ansarac mythic ring, right? To where it's really, really good, but you're definitely going to replace it. You're definitely going to replace it in the next patch when you get so many more secondary stats and stuff. I'd hope that that's where they tune the power level, so like everybody has an opportunity to have that. And if somebody already has like a Queen Ansarac ring on Mythic, let's say, then they have 2 of these really powerful rings that they're going to use until early into the next patch, which would be really cool for that person, right, who has both of those things. So that's kind of what I see happening. I'm fine if that's not the case and the cantrips are actually stronger, or if we mix and match, right? It doesn't have to be all one or all the other one, but I would be interested to see. It also could be possible. So it increases whatever, right? Mastery increases the effects. So we could wear the C1 of the mastery, and then the cantrips on Thunderlord or on Thunder and Wind, right? That could be another possibility, right? So I'd be fine with the cantrips are just the thing too. Those are much easier to tune than secondary stats for a million different specs. You say this is how much damage that they do, but and obviously versatility is going to become the issue there for certain specs. But yeah, I'm looking forward to these rings. I liked the other rings, especially the patch that came out. I liked having it at the beginning of the patch of the next patch, but then once we realized it, early on, but once they didn't change it for a long time, and then they changed it, and they're like, well, we're buffing all the specs that use versatility. Like, that just felt bad to me. So I hope they don't do that. They've said that they're try not to, but that doesn't mean they'll succeed in that. So let me know what you guys think the best combination is going to be. My personal initial thought is that it's going to be, like I said, all the secondary stat ones, but I definitely could see a world where it's like Fathom Dwellers with the cantrips of the other one as well. That would kind of be like my second thought after the first one. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys are excited about the ring or don't want the ring or whatever. All that stuff's interesting to me to kind of see where the pulse of everybody else is at. Because just because I'm excited about it, you might think it's dumb or stupid or something. So I'd be interested to see that as well. As long as you're not like hating on me personally. If you want to hate on the ring idea, I don't mind that. So yeah. I think that'll be it for this one. Looking forward to actually, actual testing coming out, actual numbers coming out for this. But yeah, as always, you guys need to please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. If you're already a subscriber, I encourage you to check out the Patreon. Other than that, everybody have a good one.